Hi everyone, welcome to Bad Weather Barbecue. I'm Johnny and today we're doing some homemade pastrami for some amazing Reuben sandwiches. Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. This is a channel where we talk all things barbecue. And today we're going to be doing some amazing homemade pastrami. There's quite a lot to get through, so not going to waffle on here. We're just going to get right in the kitchen. As ever though, please stick around to the end of the video where I'll give you my 3 top tips for making this cook a success. So the first step in this process is to make our brine. And actually it's pretty straightforward. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the ingredients that we're going to need, and then we're going to hit the stove and then assemble everything together. So let's have a little look at what we need first. So we've got 290 grams of kosher salt. We've got 50 grams of pink salt or Prague Powder. We've got 240 grams of granulated sugar. I've got 75 grams of just a light brown sugar. I've got 50 grams of honey. I've got 2 tablespoons of pickling spice. I've got 1 tablespoon of mustard seeds, a tablespoon of coriander, and 5 garlic cloves, which I've just bashed just to open them up a little bit. So that's everything that you'll need for the actual brine. So let's hit the stove. I've got 2.8 litres of water now in a big pot here on our stove, and I'm just starting to warm that up. And this is it's so simple. It's just a case of adding all the ingredients in. Get yourself a whisk, because you're going to need to whisk these in and make sure it all combines. And just do it one by one. It doesn't really matter what order you put them in, just as long as they all go in. And what we're looking for is just for them to all dissolve there. Now, what we're going to do is just bring this to a boil, and then as soon as it hits the boil, we're going to take it off. So whilst we're waiting on our brine mixture to come to a boil, I thought it would be good just to take a couple of minutes just to have a little look at the meat that we're going to be using. So what I'm going to be doing for pastrami is using the flat part of the brisket. So I tottled off to my local butcher's, which is Winton's up in Milner Thort, and I've got this lovely 2 kilo piece of flat here from the brisket. So all I've done is I've just started to kind of trim it up a little bit, just try and get off some of the larger portions of fat and also some of the silver skin, but it really doesn't need that much prep. So once the brine's ready, it's pretty much just going in like this. So I've just brought our brine mix to a boil. So this is pretty much ready now. However, what we need to do is we need to completely chill this first before we add our brisket into it. So I'll walk you through the process of how to do that. All right, so what I've got is I've got my largest Tupperware tub that will take the brisket, and I've had 2 litres of cold water in there chilling in the fridge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my brine mixture into this, and then that will be the brine mixture complete. It just needs to chill. If you're in a commercial kitchen and you had access to a blast chiller, this is exactly the sort of thing you would use a blast chiller for. Unfortunately, we don't, and therefore we're just going to have to go old school on this, hence why I'd had this water chilling previously. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to transfer this into there, and then that will be our brine mix sorted. I've now transferred the rest of our brine mix into my tub. As you can see, there's still a little bit of steam coming off it. That's to be expected. What I will do is I'll put the top on it, but we're going to leave it at room temperature just to kind of cool down. That'll probably take about an hour or so. Then we'll pop it in the fridge and we'll really chill it down to between 1 and 4 degrees. Then we will add our brisket in at that point. So we'll come back then. So it's been a couple of hours now, and it's time to get our brisket into our brine mix. So let's have a little look at this. You just need to be really careful when you're doing this. Obviously, if you've got space and you've got a massive tub, then you don't need to worry about anything overflowing. I unfortunately don't have that amount of room, so as you can see, it's pretty toppy there. You can, of course, take some of the liquid out from the start. You don't have to have the exact 2 litres in there, but this is certainly what we've always worked to, and it works just fine. So we'll get this back into the fridge now. Now this will go in for 5 days, and we have to turn it every day. So what I'll do is when it's tomorrow, we'll turn it, and I'll show you that on the video. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to try and turn this now. So we'll try and do this without making a mess. So we just grab your brisket, and simply a case of just turning it over, like so. So do this every day for 5 days, and just get it back in the fridge. Right, so it's been 6 days. We put it in Sunday, and it's now Saturday. So what we're going to do is we're going to get it out of the brine. We're going to dry it off slightly, but we're going to leave it for a couple of hours just to come up to room temperature. That's just to help with even cooking once we get it on the barbecue. So that's been a couple of hours now. I have patted it dry, but you can probably see there's still enough moisture on this, so we don't really need a binder or anything. So I'm just going to start to apply my pastrami rub. And again, you want to be pretty generous with this. All right, so we're outside now, and we're cooking on the Traeger today. We're on the D2575. I've got it warmed up now to 120 degrees. I'm going to be cooking with a mix of hickory and their signature blend today. I don't think it really matters, to be honest, but in terms of time, so we've covered temperature, so it's 120 degrees centigrade in terms of what we're expecting within the cooking chamber. But in terms of how long this will take, it's a 2 kilo brisket, so I'm probably going to estimate around about 8 hours for this one. In terms of the internal temperature of the meat in the target that we're looking for, we're probably looking at something around sort of 96 degrees. So it's the same principle with all briskets. We're going to smoke it probably for about 4 or 5 hours, then we're going to wrap it. That'll really start to boost the temperature, and then we'll just let it rest for an hour or so. Right, so it's time to get our brisket on. I've forgotten to bring out the temperature probe, so I'll go and get that, but I'll just do that off camera. So we've taken our brisket off now, but before we carve it up, what we're going to do is we're going to set up our sandwich for later on. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some sauerkraut, and we're going to add sort of 3 patties of it, and then with our Swiss cheese, we're going to melt that over it. Now again, this is something that happened at Katz Deli, so if it's good enough for Katz's, it's good enough for us. Wow, amazing. So that's all our ingredients ready now, so we're gonna plate up. So what we've got is we've got some Russian dressing, and I'll leave a wee description of how you make this in the comments. But what we do is just add a little bit to each side, like so. Okay. Now we're going to take some of our gorgeous pastrami. and don't be afraid to pile this up. The guys at Katz in New York weren't, so we won't be either. Okay, then what we'll do is we'll take one of our pieces of our sauerkraut and our Swiss cheese, add it on top, and then we'll add the top of our sandwich. And that is how we're going to serve our pastrami Reuben sandwich. We'll add some fries onto the side of it and it'll be good to go. And here is our final dish. So here's our Reuben with our fries and our gherkins. And I have to say, this looks absolutely amazing. Really, really pleased with the pinkness. That's the Prague Powder coming out in the pastrami, and it looks fantastic. So as you've already seen, this looks amazing. So there you have it, our amazing Reuben sandwiches with our very own homemade pastrami. Excellent flavors and lots there for the family to enjoy. At the start of the video, I said to stick around to the end and I'll give you my 3 top tips for making this cook a success. So here we go. Number 1, remember to turn your meat every day within your brine. This ensures a consistent brining process that gets the best possible flavor into your pastrami. Number 2, when you are putting your brine together, please remember to dissolve all of your salt and sugar. If you don't, what it can do is it can impact the meat, and what you'll find is that sections of your meat can be too salty or too sugary. So please remember to dissolve all of that salt and sugar. Number 3, remember that this is a low and slow cook, and therefore if you're looking, you ain't cooking. So it's best to use something like a Weber iGrill with a thermometer probe in it, just to let you understand where your cook is at any given point in time. Thanks for watching, everybody. You look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video.